Hi everyone, welcome to the Rabbit Fairy Craft Kit tutorial. So today I'm going to walk you through all the pieces that came in your kit if you ordered one, and how to go ahead and assemble this adorable little rabbit Easter fairy spring situation we have going on here. So last year I sat down and I made a few versions of these adorable little fairies from book pages and some graphics that I had made from some vintage photographs of a vintage toy. So, and I had this little tiny flag here that said Happy Easter. I tucked these in my Easter egg tree that I have in my dining room. I hung one from my peg rack. I kind of tucked them in and around, and they were so fun. So I thought I would work on a version for you guys. This is a little bit better than my just whipped together version last year. So let's sit down and let's make one together. I'm going to get you started. So in your kit, you should have this fussy cut sheet that contains 2 rabbit heads and 2 Easter eggs. So you should have enough in your kit to make 2. But I just think these little vintage rabbit faces are so sweet. And then I will have my little Easter fairy, as I did in my one from last year, holding an Easter egg. So you can go ahead and cut these out. They're fairly simple to fussy cut. Didn't take me long at all. And I have some pre-cut over here to the side. You will also have a wing template here. I made this so it has a very thick border, right? So you can make 2 different size wings if you want to stack them on each other. Make 2 sets, and I will be using the book page paper for my wings. You could use book pages, you could use cardstock that you have, you could use a book page and then overlay some of the pattern paper that was included. You could use some of the corresponding cardstock that I included. You can really do whatever you like with these. This is just the template to get you started. You have a handful of vintage book pages. You shouldn't need to age these at all because they're a beautiful color, but they're not brittle. So I fold mine in half to cut my wings. This is how I cut my wings out. The fairly thick line, you might, and depending on your paper weight that you choose to use, you might be able to just go underneath it and draw it out if you like. It's totally up to you and what your process is. But I cut this out, fold it in half. I fold my book page in half, and then I cut out the wings. And then I will keep these little scraps to the side because we can actually use those too. You will have some crepe paper, which I'm going to use for 2 different things. I had some vintage pattern paper included, which you can use in addition to the crepe paper. We have some fabric here that's printed with 2 sentiments that say Happy Easter and Happy Spring. This is going to be our little flag that our little rabbit fairy is going to hold on to along with her little egg. We have some bits of ribbon, and you have 2 pipe cleaners. I believe you have some lace and some vintage buttons. And this is the lace that was included. And this is just for decorating. So there's lots of different options for you to use. Lots of variations you can make with the things included in your kit. So some things that I suggest that you have on your craft table before you start making this. These are the things that I gather so they're nearby. I have a glue stick. I have some tacky glue, just a variety of glues just in case so I don't have to get up and search for anything, right? I also have a hot glue gun plugged in and off to the side, heating up, ready to go when I need it for embellishing. And I think that is it. We can get started. Oh, I have a couple toothpicks. I didn't include these in the kit because I wasn't sure if everyone wanted to go this route. When I made my flags last year, I used toothpicks. I think I'm gonna try and use a pipe cleaner this year, but I do have some I do have some toothpicks nearby in case I choose to use those. So let's get started. I already cut out my wings from my book page, and I fussy cut my bunny head and my Easter egg. So like I said, I cut out my wings and I folded them in half, and then I cut out my book page and I folded it in half. And I'm just going to cut one side, and then it's going to give me my set of wings. You can draw this on the paper if you don't want to hold it and cut. You can cut both sides separately if you like unfold the wings and cut the whole thing out. I just find this to be a little bit quicker to fold, especially when I'm looking to do something symmetrical. And that's gonna leave me with a set of wings like this. So now I have 2 sets of wings. I can set my little template off to the side. And so one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my book page and I'm just going to hold on to these scraps because I will need a rectangle and I will need some strips for the arms and the legs. You don't have to use the book pages for your arms and the legs. You can use the cardstock that was included. You can use paper that you already have that's a coordinating color. You can do whatever you like, but I save these to use. So I have 2 sets of wings that if I wanted to make them dimensional, I could. I could cut one a little smaller if I wanted. I'm just gonna go with 1 for now, right? And I'm going to cut my book page. I'm gonna get a little rectangle from my scraps. And I'm going to set this in the middle here. I'm gonna lay this all out before I glue, just so I have an idea of what he's gonna look like. I'm gonna choose to use this bunny head. I want this rectangle that I'm placing in the middle of my wings to be up a little higher so the head placement can be a little higher. Does that make sense? And you can choose whatever you want to do with this head placement. So if you wanna have it cocked to the side, if you wanna have it straight on, whatever you would like to do is going to be super cute and unique to you, which I really love. So from those book pages, I also cut 4 thin rectangles for the arms and the legs. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to use these blank ones for the arms since I already have the print and the printing for the legs. So my legs are gonna go behind here. My legs are gonna go behind here and my arms are gonna be outstretched like this. Can we see that very well? I'm not quite sure. And then my little egg is he's going to hold his little egg, or she is going to hold their egg, whichever direction you would like. And so I really like the way this looks, so I'm gonna keep this arrangement. So some things I'm going to pause and think about right now is how I'm going to make my flag before I fold these little things over. Because we're gonna fold those little arms over to hold the egg and to hold the flag. So I don't want to glue anything down quite yet. I'm going to use the sentiment Happy Spring. And you do have quite a bit of negative space around here that I am going to trim away. I wanted to give you some options here with how you wanted to make your flag. So I'm going to cut a bit of the crepe paper because this is going to be the backing for my flag. You can make your flag more square, you can make it rectangular. If you have pinking shears and you want to use a decorative edge on the fabric, that would be something that is really cute as well. So this is kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave a little bit more space on this side so I can roll it over my pipe cleaner. I'm also going to trim away a little bit of extra, to have a little bit of extra crepe paper here on the side. I'll show you that in a minute. I'm going to trim this down just a little so it's not so thick. Okay. I'm going to glue this fabric to my crepe paper. I'm just going to use a glue stick. You could also use double-sided tape if you don't have a glue stick. You can use fabric tack. I do find that it's a pretty thin piece of fabric and it's going on a thin backing, so it doesn't need a lot of glue, and sometimes a wet glue is going to make that crepe paper very soggy, so a glue stick is what I would recommend to do. Okay. And like I said, you can go ahead and make this with the pipe cleaner, and I'm just going to fold this over just a little bit, ever so slightly. I'm going to roll this, and then I'm going to glue it. See how sweet that is? I think I'm going to trim this a bit more. The flag seems a little big for me. We're also going to use the crepe paper in a bit to make the rabbit's skirt. So keep that crepe paper handy. I just want to get this flag assembled and ready for when we're ready to glue our fairy on the backing. I am going to go ahead and use hot glue for this part. And I'm also going to, this is a little strange, but I'm also going to defluff my pipe cleaner just a little bit. This is completely unnecessary. It's just something I like to do. I like the look of a pipe cleaner. But sometimes like they're so fluffy and I don't always love that. Especially if I'm gluing something onto it. I think that gives it kind of, let me try my smaller scissors here. I think it gives it a little bit more of an elevated look. If you alter a pipe cleaner, like just a normal pipe cleaner, if you distress it, you trim it, I think it looks, I don't know, I think there's something about it that it makes it look nicer to me than just a regular pipe cleaner. This is tedious. This is silly. This is definitely not something you need to concern yourself with if you do not want to. This guy's kind of like an shabby, old-timey looking guy, so I'm gonna take the minute to do that step. All right, and so like I said, I'm going to loop this around itself and roll it just like that and place a little bit of glue. And so this is gonna be our little flag here. Let me just move some things out of the way. I'm just, again, taking my hot glue gun and I'm putting a small bead, placing this here, another little tiny bit of glue, and then I'm going to roll it on itself. Be careful. You can certainly use another type of glue. Ah, I did it the wrong way. Oh, that's so annoying. But see, things happen. So now I'm just gonna have to trim this. And I think I should have done better about that for sure. But this is real life. Things happen for sure. I can peel back my fabric there and I'm just actually gonna cut that. All right, well, we're gonna take two and see things happen, and just is the way it is. Sometimes you just have to roll with it and figure it out. And a lot of times the project's better for it. Like you either choose to make you make another choice, or you're more careful the next time you do it, so you know. That was a little thick when I rolled it over, so maybe it's going to work out better with just this little fabric. Let's see. So in my not so perfect tutorial here, let's just go ahead and double check and make sure I'm doing this properly this time. Okay, here we go. My writing is at the top. My pipe cleaner is at the bottom. I am gluing it, and now I'm going to roll it. And it's a little closer than I would like, but that is what it is. At least it's in the right direction. I feel like I say this all the time. Every time I do a tutorial, I feel like I say this. I'm team hot glue. I love hot glue. I just love how quick it works. The only thing is if you make a mistake, sometimes it isn't as friendly. So now I have my little flag here. Now I have my little flag that she's gonna hold on to. I'm gonna trim the rest of my pipe cleaner. Another thing that you can do to the pipe cleaner is you can take, if you have distressing ink, is distress your pipe cleaner and make it look a little dirty. I like that because then it doesn't look very new. I think that looks nice. That's a step you can do if you want. If you don't, totally don't have to, obviously. Make it however you would like to make it. You could even go ahead and use some of that oxidizing ink and age around the crepe paper and age the fabric a little bit if you wanted to. Should we do that? Yeah, let me grab that. Okay, I'm back with my ink. And I'm gonna trim this little nugget off the top there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and distress this. See what I mean? Just when it's not like stark white. I don't know, there's something about that to me that just looks so much nicer. If you don't have this though, it's definitely not necessary. It's just something I like to do to make things look like they're aged a little bit. Especially when it comes to a stark white, I think that makes a big difference in a project. Okay, so he's coming along or she's coming along. I'm not gluing anything just yet. I'm just kind of setting this out to the side, and I'm getting all my pieces ready, and we're gonna glue all at once. So you have some options here. You have the option, I'm using this crepe paper to make a ruffle skirt. You don't need to make a skirt. You could also use some of this pattern paper to pleat or make like a little pleated skirt. That is completely up to you how you would like to go about doing it. You can use both. So I think I'm going to go that route. I think I'm going to layer them on top of each other and see how that works for me. It might not work, but I'm gonna see, because I want to be able to see, I still want to be able to see the pink of the crepe paper, but I do like the idea of having this. So this is going to be a thin little strip here if I want to be able to see both. And this is going to be to pleat it. You know, you're just folding it like an accordion. What I think I might do, since I am set that I am going to use this, I'm going to adhere this, the top part of it, to the crepe paper. So I'm only dealing with one piece. And I'm just going to do a thin line at the top. And I'm just going to lay that on there, press that down. This probably is a lot longer than I need it to be, but it's always better to have more than to have not enough, especially when you're doing something like this. So this is ready to go and to sort of pleat on here when I am ready. And this is going to get tucked on a layer. I'm just going to do it roughly. It's going to be something like this. And then I'm going to trim this off. And then this is going to get tucked under the egg and glued. If you want to, if you have this like just to eyeball it and you have it in a nice way that you think is going to look nice on your rabbit, and you don't want to re-pleat it or re-scrunch it or refold it, you can place a staple in here that it holds. You could place a paper clip there so it holds. I think I'm going to go ahead and staple it just so it's in place. I'm back with my stapler, and this is going to be covered, so it doesn't really matter. You're just kind of holding it. You're just kind of holding it until it gets glued. So there's the little skirt. All right, I think we are ready to kind of get into this a little bit more. We have some cardstock that was included. I just have scraps right now. I don't have the full 5x7 sheets that you have. This is double-sided cardstock, so you can use either side. Whatever side you choose is going to be the back side of your rabbit. You can also use the backer card. This is like a vintage wallpaper print. If you wanted to utilize the packaging, that would be something as well. If you have something else entirely that you would like to use, you can go ahead and do that. I would like this bright colored side to be the back, the part that shows of my rabbit. So I'm going to be gluing like this. Okay. So we want this to be a little heavy, right? Like we want it to be sturdy, which is why we are gluing it onto cardstock. Like I said, you will have a page that fits your entire rabbit. I just have scraps I'm working with. So now would be the time also now would be the time that if you wanted to create something, a detail around the wings in any way that would go between the backing and your book page, now would be the time to do that. So if you wanted to use, let's say if you wanted to use your crepe paper instead of a skirt, if you wanted to do a little ruffle at the top of the wing, that would be really cute. If you were doing a double wing, you could also do it in between those layers. So if we were doing like a double wing that was like a little three-dimensional, which you can do, you don't need to worry about getting it in between the backing quite as much. So I'm getting my wings and my little body here placed and making sure that I'm going to have room for the little head. Okay, that's perfect. I'm gonna glue this down just like this. I'm actually going to be using 2 pieces. Again, you'll have 1 piece. I just didn't want to be wasteful. So now's the time also that you are gonna have to look at both sides of your wings and decide which ones that you would like forward facing. Take a peek at both sides. I'm just using my glue stick and gently gluing. This is a book page, and you know how book pages can be sometimes. You can be a lot less fussy with this than I am being, simply because I'm gonna piece a couple of these together. All right, so I have his wings backed. Now I'm going to back the body. I'm going to stick the body here, and keep in mind I'm keeping this a little higher so we have a nice place to set the head. I think I'm going to have this bunny, since his eyes are directional up and to the right, I'm going to tilt his head. So it looks as though he or she is looking up to the left or up to the right. I just think that gives it a little bit of character. And I love that. Look how sweet. Okay. Now I have to choose which way I would like my egg to go. I already oriented my flag to be to the right, so I think I'm going to do my egg to the left. Okay, perfect. Now, before I put my egg down, I'm gonna do my little arms here. So my arms are going to go out like this. I think the thing that I love about how whimsical this, like just the block arms and legs are just so cute to me. Now, leave a little unglued. Only glue about half of this. Don't do what I just did. Only glue about half of this because we are gonna fold these over to hold on to the egg and to hold on to the flag. So this is just about half there of the little arm, just so it's gluing down. And now I'm going to do the egg. Sorry, I lied. I completely lied. Now I'm going to do the skirt. So your skirt, you want to play around with it and see the position. Do you want it to be a little short skirt? Do you want it to be a longer skirt? I think like this is pretty good. So I'm going to have it here. I'm going to use hot glue for this. That's just my preference. It's a little heavier. I don't have to sit and wait for it to dry. Do we see how cute this is coming together? Now, under this little skirt, we're going to do the legs. Oh, I love that. Okay, so we're gonna glue these little legs on underneath the little skirt. Again, I'm only gluing about half of the leg. And you can have these legs be asymmetrical. I'm gonna do like one straight and then like one out to the side. Like a little ballerina almost. You can do them straight, you can do them both out to the side. You can do them however you want. What did I say I was doing? Straight, right? Is that what I said? Okay, that's what I said. Okay. Yours will be backed. Mine are just, I guess I could back them here. Yeah, I'll do that. Just so my whole back is covered. You, again, are not going to have to worry about this. Unless, for whatever reason, you run out of cardstock or there was a mistake and you want to piece some of the scraps together, this is how you would navigate that. But I have so much faith in you, that is just not going to happen. Okay. This around here is all going to be cut away, so I'm not really worried about it. It's just a backing. It's just a backing. All right. You can also make little feet. If you wanted to take some of these scraps, these scrapbook pages, and in the one I did before, they're just little blocks. I kept this very simple, very, you can put them out like this. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that little detail there. Just some sweet little feet. When I made this the first time, I didn't have any sort of template or any idea where I was going to go with it. I just kind of sat down with a bunch of stuff. And sometimes that's a lot easier than trying to recreate something. There we go. That's sweet. Oh, I love that. Okay. So at this point, we may glue our egg and glue our flag. So when we're gluing our flag, we want to be mindful of this arm, right? Because this arm has to hold on to the flag. So she's going to hold on to it like this, right? We're just bending them over and she's just going to hold on to them like that. Okay. So I'm going to glue down my egg first. I'm just using a glue stick for this, for the ease of quick drying. If you wanted to use a different type of glue, you can. But you will have to account for dry time then. Also, think about how you can embellish this egg before this step. You could add actual real glitter to this egg. I think that would be really cute. I'm not doing that. I'm not dragging out my glitter. I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the end here so she can hold on to that egg. All right, and now for the flag. So the flag, make sure is tucked behind this little arm flap here. We're just gonna have this little guy right here. So cute. I think I'm going to just hot glue this along this bottom line here. Again, fabric tack would work great. This is just my preference. You do what works best for you and with what materials you have. And then this little arm is going to flap over and grab on to this little flag. I'm going to glue this. I'm going to press down there. I think last year I ended up having to hot glue onto the pipe cleaner. I think I did have issues with that sticking. Yes, perfect. Okay. So now we have our little bunny assembled. She's not quite decorated fully yet, but we're like 90% there. So I'm going to go ahead at this step and I'm just going to trim away carefully all this excess. And I'm going to trim around this flag, okay? I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, ta-da, I'm back. And I just cut around all that negative space. So what I'm left with is something that's sturdy and that is fully backed. And that did take a little while, I'm not gonna lie. And it isn't 100% perfect, but that's okay. This is not that type of project. This is supposed to look like, I don't know, to me, this is very like reminiscent of like a South Park illustration. Like this isn't some fancy, like this is like very fun and very cute looking. It's not to be something that's absolutely pristine. So you can see I have some areas around here that I can trim a little better if I wanted to go back in. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna leave it. It's really not that serious. I'm pretty happy with this right now. So you can do a few things here at this juncture. So you can decorate this further. You have some lace. I'm going to add a little lace detail at the bottom of her skirt. I have some of these little buttons. I'm also going to add like, I don't know where I should add a cute little button. I'm gonna add a cute little button detail somewhere. You could add glitter. You could take a gold marker and go around the wings and doodle on the wings. You could add glitter to the wings. You could do a lot of different things with this. You can also leave this as is. If you wanted to put this in your journal and glue this onto a page, you can leave this as is. If you wanted to add a hanger, you can do that as well. So you have a second pipe cleaner if you wanted to use a pipe cleaner. Probably only need half of it here. And you can attach these to the back. You have that pink Easter, let's say tinsel for lack of a better word. You could also use that to use as a hanger. You could use that tinsel to decorate the skirt. You could use that tinsel to decorate around the wings. You could use ribbon if you wanted to have this, have a ribbon hanging. You could punch 2 holes in the wings, which I think is what I might do. I probably shouldn't have cut it. Yeah, I definitely shouldn't have cut that. So don't cut that. I think I'm gonna punch 2 holes in these wings to put this on a hanger. I have my little hole punch. You could use your grommet if you wanted to put like a full grommet in, you could. I'm not going to do that, but you certainly could. Since this flag is on a pipe cleaner, when I was cutting it out, I found it real easy. Like I could just bend it and move it out of the way. So that was really nice. So at the tip of the wings here, I'm going to make 2 holes. 1 and 2. Yeah, grommets would be really cute and would make this look like a little bit more finished. I do not have I don't have a crocodile, and I don't have a very small grommet maker. Mine is a larger one, and I don't think it would work for this. Maybe I should have tested this out before I decided to do it for the first time. That is a flaw of mine. I just, sometimes I just go for it and I don't really fully think it out. All right, so here's the little ribbon. So now's the time where if it's twisted, you want to get it straightened out and you want to pull it to the length that you want it. You could hang this from a peg hook. You can hang this from an Easter egg tree. You could just hang this anywhere. Anywhere you wanted a little cute little touch of spring. Little touch of whimsy. You don't have to put a hanger on it at all. You don't need to hang it anywhere. Like I said, you can put it in your journal. I put my one from last year into my journal. And I'm definitely twisted here. So I'm just going to go ahead and maneuver that to be untwisted. There we go. Oh, you could leave these long. You could cut them shorter. Really, whatever you would like to do. And there's lots of different options of things in your kit for you to use as the hanger, I feel like. I feel like if you wanted to use the lace, you could use the lace. If you wanted to use this ribbon, I feel like this is the best use for the ribbon. Although this would be really cute as also as a skirt detail because it is see-through. All right, so I'm just tying a knot here. I'm just tying a knot into this ribbon. And I'm going to bend this little flag carefully back up into place. And I'm going, oh my God, how cute. Okay, I'm going to trim this. You can trim this any which way you like. You can do a little on an angle. If you have pinking shears and you want it to have a little texture to it, you can. If you want to do it like a little snake bite, you can do that. I think I'm gonna even go a little shorter on this. A little shorter still. I don't need all that. There we go. This is so cute. Okay, so now I'm going to embellish the skirt a little bit. I'm going to use some lace detail along the bottom of this skirt. And it just takes just a tiny bit. You also have rickrack in your kit, which I don't have because I ran out. You have some fun rickrack that you could use. Which that intention was to decorate the skirt if you wanted to. So I'm just measuring this out. And then again, I'm gonna bring out my trusty hot glue. Let me clear up my space a little bit. Sorry. And right where that beige meets the pink, I'm just going to do a real thin line of glue. Any type glue you like. Any type of glue that you like. I feel like this toothpick has really come in handy several times, so it might be something that you want to have as a tool. Just have nearby. Oh, look how sweet. So that pink Easter tinsel would have looked really cute on the skirt as well as a ruffle. There are these little buttons that if you wanted to add like some of these, I only have white ones left, but I think some of you have like colored like pink and I think there were some blue in there. And then I think everyone got a white option. Some got rhinestone ones. I'm just going to glue these little buttons on right here because I think that looks sweet. So I'm going to do 2 different sizes, a big and a small. Again, I'm using the hot glue. You can skip this part if you don't want to embellish it this way. It's all up to you. Maybe you have another, you found, oh, I'm sorry, I bumped the camera there. Maybe you found another use for the button and how you wanted to use them. I would love to see that. So tell me how you are going to use your little buttons. And as one last step, I think I'm going to get a gold metallic pen and just kind of outline my wings and then distress them. While I was on my way to find my gold paint pen, I did find some of the rickrack that was included in a few. I think there was blue and this color was included. But this is even further decoration that you can use. You could even tie like a little something to the bottom of this flag if you wanted to use something that way. This is so cute. I think I'm going to use my ink pen first. This is a pretty old pen, so, and I feel like I'm just going to outline just around the wings here a little bit, just for some detail. And then I'm going to go in behind this. This isn't really giving much of anything, just a level of detail. And I think I'm going to go in behind this and use some more of that distressing ink. I am so sorry. I keep bumping this. That's one of my priorities for this year, is to get like some proper, I did it again, to get some proper film equipment, because I just use my phone. All right. You could do like tick marks if you wanted to make it. You could do doodles, you could do whole swirls on here. You can do whatever you want. You could do any sort of paper marking on these wings. I think that would just add to the originality of it. And that's one of the reasons I love this project so much, is that there's so many things, like my explanation and assembly is not going to be what you come up with. Like, you're going to have your own ideas and own ways to do it, and they are all going to look fantastic. And I think that's why when I looked back on this project from last year that I did, I had such like a warm feeling when I looked back on it. I was like, oh, I loved making him. Like that was, or her, or like I loved making that little rabbit. That was so cute. That was such a fun project. Let's make more. And I did. I made a lot more. And I used things that were not rabbit heads. I found some images from a magazine of like a vintage photograph, and I cut out like the doll face and I used that. You can do all kinds of things. You can do this for other holidays. You can just sit down and make it whenever you like. One thing that is bothering me a little bit is this little tie. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. This knot is bothering me. So I'm gonna tie it a little tighter, and I'm gonna pull it, and I'm gonna trim this. There we go. And now that's out of the way. I think I'm gonna do the same for this. You could even distress this ribbon if you wanted. You could use raffia. You could use all kinds of different things that you might already have, but this was in the kit, so I wanted to use it. All right, so I am pretty much done. Here is my finished little rabbit fairy. As you can see, it's a little bit bigger than my hand. I have small hands, but this is a really good sized little project. I love it. I think it's adorable. Use it as decor, use it in your journal, use it as your little spring mascot. Have fun with it. Let me know in the comments what you decided to, like how you decided to decorate yours. Did you use glitter? Did you use gold foil? Did you use a metallic marker? What did you decide to use? I can't wait to see all the variations you come up with, and I can't wait to do another craft with you guys. All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.